PokerStars.tv. This one from the 1st of May, May Day. 5,744 runners generated a big prize pool of $1.148 million. I'm Nick Wealthall, bringing you the best of the final table action, all in glorious standard definition. And there's your leaderboard as we start the action. Pinow! With all of the chips, a big chip lead for the player from the Netherlands. Teuton in second. Zegris makes up the podium at the moment. But fancy a few confrontations early on with the stacks so clustered beneath Pinow. Pinow, who actually won the Sunday warm-up last November. Just under 150k payout for him. So looking to add that to that with the million crown. We'll see if he can do it. It's not easy to go wire to wire at the final table in the million. We've seen that over the weeks. We'll see how he gets on. 125, 250 are your blinds. As we pick up the action, hand number 7. And Koki, or Koki, from Venezuela will open with 9s. And a 3-bet from Zacharias with ace-10. Kind of a funny spot, facing under the gun open and a full table behind. And a short stack. I guess get the money in is the order of the day. It'd be surprising if either of these two blinked. Koki is going to think about it a little bit. I guess it's slightly scary having 9s opening under the gun and then immediately getting 3-bet. But with those stack sizes, you've got to put the money in. Flat call is, I don't know, not sure about that one. Just got a pot size bet left. His opponent's got less than a pot size bet left. And what does he do on this kind of flop? I mean, if Zacharias 3-bet him with a worse pair, he's now going to win the pot by putting the rest of his chips in. But he's not going to do that either. Check, check. Maybe they'll find a way not to get the money in. Queen of diamonds pairs the board on the turn. 10s of Zacharias still leading the way. But nobody wants to bet. Zacharias is thinking about it, and he does eventually put the money in. And I have no clue what Koki's going to do here. I presume he's going to fold. He does. So you could argue dodged a bullet. You could also argue there should have been a lot more action before the flop. But as it is, Zacharias will take it down, and the British player will get out of immediate danger, leaving Koki short stacked. Hand number 12, stunts 25. I did 25 stunts in a day once. I was 8 years old, but a couple of them involved a ramp, so pretty impressive. Stunts 25 opens the betting, ace-queen off. Pinow, our chip leader, gets out the way. As you can see, it's party time for Zegris from the Russian Federation. This is what you want. Not only to have aces, but to have action in front. When you get the aces in the big blind and they fold all the way around and you're praying for someone to open raise, that's when it gets nasty. Zegris can 3-bet here, and stunts, having started the hand with about 20 big blinds, a bit more than that, has a decision to make. There are different options here. He could just put the money in. Or he could do that, flat calls. Now, the interesting thing comes if he misses the flop. We can see 2 of his aces are dead, so he's going to miss the flop a decent amount of the time. And there's a flop that he's missed. Zegris doesn't have anything to worry about with his chip stack and the size of the pot. He's just trying to get his money in. Stunts, on the other hand, when he flat call with ace-queen with this size chip stack, I guess it's about knowing your opponent. Can he safely fold now that he's missed the flop? He does fold, and gets away from one there, with Zegris up to almost 8 million. Hand 15, still 9-handed at the million final table. Playing for $178,000 first prize. There'll be no deal at this final table. We've seen some deals recently at these tournaments, but not today. They will play for all the marbles and the money. Both. Playing for both. Nobody has a hand here. Everybody's going to get out of the way. Round to Catalanon from Israel, who has just under 20 big blinds and is going to make the button raise. Stunts 25. Doesn't have a hand, so must be thinking about doing something a little bit more creative. We can see that it will work if he does pull the trigger and 3-bet here. It's a bold move because he really doesn't have very many chips to play with. And that, I guess, is what's causing... I always have this thing where if I think that for that long, I worry that nothing I do will be credible. So if I don't decide to bluff quickly enough, I throw it away. Stunts doesn't have that problem. I don't think that Catalanon can think that there's enough room here to re-bluff. No, he does just get out the way. And Stunts 25 with a bold move. One of those moves that worked because it looked like he was committed, looked like he had to have a hand to do it. Interesting play, and it worked out for him. Things will continue to go his way as well, up to almost 7 million in chips as we rejoin the action in hand 19. Pinau, who we haven't seen in action yet, is your chip leader still in the big blind this hand. Over 19.5 million. Everybody's folded round to the cutoff, and Teuton 1, who will make the steal with 9 high. Koki with just, well, less than 10 big blinds, has an easy decision to put it in with ace-queen. And that may well take it down. He will be expecting a showdown. I'm not sure he'll get one. Teuton has to call another. Well, he's getting good odds. He's put himself in this position. He is going to have to flip over the 9-2 and be a little bit embarrassed if he wins the pot. Well, he does hit a 2, but Koki, the all-in player with the queens, looks good here. And the ace on the turn looks even better. Koki will take down this 5 million chip pot. And Teuton tried to steal. It backfired a little bit. And 9-2 somehow gets cracked. Why does that always happen? On we go. 150, 300,000 are your blinds. Catalanon and Andrew Lewis both get out of the way. Stunts gets out of the way. Teuton 1 opens it up. If you're going to open 9 high, you're definitely opening King 10 of diamonds. Looks very pretty. Pinau also with a suited king, but much worse. Gets out of the way. And Dictionary, who'd got incredibly short stacked, does put in his last few chips. He does have the best hand with ace high, but needs it to hold, of course. And it's not going to hold. Well, that's not even a decent run for your money, is it? Teuton with a flush, a flopped flush, will send Dictionary to the rail. The German player is going to be our 9th place finisher. And sadly for him, there are no words. Do you see what I did there? Because he's called Dictionary. Dictionary 11, $8,900 and change. And we're 8-handed. Our first elimination took a while. I think we might see a few more a bit quicker. A few short stacks around the table. Looking for double ups. Koki is one of the healthiest stacks, just over 8 million. And we'll get things going here with the ace-9 of spades. And Pinau's having a think here. Koki, one of the few players who does have a decent chip stack and can open raise and then fold a lot. So, yeah, Pinau's going to attack with the Jack-10. Koki's going to call the second time we've seen him call a 3-bet out of position with a shortish stack. I don't think it's a recipe for success, and Pinau's outflopped him to boot. Wouldn't need to outflop him to necessarily win the hand with the lead and position, but that is what's happened this time around. Koki checks. It's the same theme, really, which is when you have ace-9 and you're going to play the rest of the hand out of position, you're not going to like most flops, so what are you going to do? I mean, even if it was an ace-high flop, you wouldn't be completely in love with it. So a small bet from Pinau and a call from Koki. And Pinau makes a bigger 2-pair with jacks and 10s. Koki still doesn't have very much. He's going to mix it up. Going to try a bet. You've got to try something, haven't you, when you put yourself in a horrible position. Throws out a tiny bet. I don't know what Pinau will make of this. I was always taught if you get faced by a tiny bet into a bigger pot, play in exactly the same way as you would if they checked. So if you're going to check behind, if you would have checked behind, just call. Pinau does just call. Pinau must know that, you know, he's ahead the vast majority of the time. But he will just call. So Koki's small bet strategy at least gets him to the river without a lot of expense. But the whole pod has been a little bit of a misadventure. Pinau way out in front and a favourite to take down the Sunday Million. I'm sure you'd love to be in his seat. Well, we'd like to give you a shot at it, a free one to boot. We've got our free roll as ever. Simply go Tawny free roll on the Stars software. Find online Poker Show free roll and we'll give you the password to enter later in the show. Meanwhile, at our final table, Pinau has a commanding lead. We've seen commanding leads disappear though many times at the Million final table. As the blinds get big, things do get a little bit frantic. We'll see if Pinau can bring this one home or if someone will emerge from the pack to challenge him. 8-handed, a lot of players to get rid of, a lot of players with homes to go to. Or beds, they're already in their homes, just need to roll from the lounge to the bedroom. Substantially richer. They've locked up $14,000. Big difference between 8th and 1st though. 178k will be our winner's prize today. Segris with Queen 10 has opened this pot. Stunts 25. Flat calls with the Ace Jack. Stunts 25 from Brazil. Flat calls. Teuton from Germany will also flat call. And Segris from the Russian Federation will flop the nuts. Must be nice. A little bit of sunning for everyone on this flop, isn't there? Stunts with top pair. And Teuton is betting. He's actually in 3rd place with a pair and a gut shot. And Segris will flat call. Well, this is dangerous for Stunts 25. He'll just flat call. He will think he's winning most of the time here. This pot is just under 5 million. The 6 of clubs doesn't change a thing. Segris still sitting with the nuts. And Stunt's still every reason to believe he has the best hand. Teuton will probably have got the message from the flop that second pair isn't winning here. More or less equal chip stacks. For Segris, just over a pot size bet left. You'd figure he might make this 2 bets. Smallish bet here and then the rest on the river. That looks like what he's going for. Stunts 25 is just in a horrible position. This is when Texas Hold'em is such a hard game. I mean, a lot of the time he's in front, but there's also a ton of hands that could beat him. It's not an easy spot, this. If he calls this bet, he's more or less committing himself for the river. Depends what range of hands he puts Segris on when he flat calls the flop. And Stunts 25 makes a good laydown. Well, we can see that it's a good laydown. Wonder what you'd have done in that spot. Easy for him to go broke there, but he gets away from it. Segris has the nuts, wins the pot, but will have wanted a little bit more from that situation. Stunts 25 lives to fight another day. Hand 34 sees Pinau with the Ace Jack. Segris with Jacks just flat calling. A lot of people would have 3-bet the chip leader there, but Segris is not one of those people. Looks like everybody else will get out the way. And Pinau, our chip leader, will have to play one out of position. Well, I spoke too soon. Zakaris wants to see a flop with 10-4. Doesn't have too many chips to be doing that sort of thing. So tempting, isn't it, in the blinds? Just throwing a few more chips, you get to see 3 more cards. Get through a lot of chippage that way. Pinau might continue here, and he does. So nothing he sort of flops. Actually, a great flop for Segris' Jacks, of course. He's thinking about how to play this. He will make the raise. Zacharias will wish he had those 300,000 chips back. And Pinau will fold his ace high. So for Segris with back-to-back big hands, and that's boosted his chip stack. If it had gone a different way, maybe he could have boosted it even more, but still sitting pretty